Well, hello and welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic lives and minds of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Each week, I have the great privilege to speak with founders across the spectrum, founders from different industries at different stages, company stages, from startups to mature businesses of all shapes and sizes. Our listeners get to hear the real, the raw, the unvarnished stories, getting incredible insights on what it takes to start and scale a business or become a better founder, CEO, and business leader. Today on our podcast, we have Angela Fowler. She is the CEO of Real Life Access. Angela, welcome to the Chaos. Welcome to Hello Chaos. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, very good. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this podcast. You're actually one of our first ones with the disability
Oh,
of
wow.
sight. So, you know,
Congratulations on all that, right?
yeah, like one of our missions is diversity and inclusivity of entrepreneurs from all, like I said, all spectrums. And I'm excited that you're on to tell your story. So why don't you start us out? Tell us what inspired you. How did you get into starting your own company, and what you do?
Well, so I mean, if it isn't obvious, I'm totally blind, which means that I can't see a darn thing. Never could. Um, so throughout it, and I'm not a digital native. I'm dating myself here, but I got into technology and the internet when I was a teenager, right around the late '90s,
Yeah.
around '98, something like that. Um, So, and back then things were a lot simpler, but
Yeah.
I sound like one of those people. Now, like back in my day, things
That's
are.
right. Oh, I date myself quite a lot on this podcast.
Oh my
So
goodness,
that's
I did not want to start off this way. The teenage. I can just feel the teenage eye rolls right now. Yeah, you don't even need to see to detect a teenage eye roll. It's all about context.
That's right. That's right.
um, but as I as the internet got more complicated and coding techniques became more advanced, I started to come across things that weren't accessible. So I tried to do something online, like pay a bill or whatever the thing is, and I
Ah,
couldn't do it because my screen reader wouldn't work with the website. Now, let me
ah,
back up here because a lot of people don't know what a screen reader is.
yeah.
Um, a screen reader is a software program that reads the screen to blind people, and some sighted people. I think if more people were aware of screen readers, more sighted people would use them because not everybody is 100% visual. People,
Right. I think I'm one of those people. I have to put on readers and
yeah,
feel like magnifiers to read my computer
yeah.
screen.
Well, what some people do is that when they're reading long documents, they just turn on a screen reader.
Ah,
And if they have a good voice, it's actually better than reading it with their eyes.
yeah.
Um, but the screen reader reads, and in order for a website to work with a screen reader, it has to, quite frankly, it needs to be coded properly. Um,
Correct.
and a lot of websites aren't. People code for aesthetics alone, and they
Right.
take shortcuts when it comes to functionality. Um, and that used to really frustrate me. I spent a lot of time in the blindness advocacy movement, right? The civil rights group for blind people, basically. And advocacy is important, but the problem with these groups is they often instill what I call a minority mindset,
Mm.
um, which is really a victim mindset. People are discriminating against me. Society is discriminatory, and this and that. But that's not helpful. It's not a helpful way to approach life. But I got caught up in that, and I was an angry blind woman there for a while.
Yeah.
But in 2021, I got what I call the job that changes everything.
This was your ahas. This was
It's,
an aha.
this is
Yeah.
my aha. This is it. So I got a job working with sighted people that were, web designers, developers. I was the only blind person in the thing that were working on the Department of Veterans Affairs website. And there's the VA, and then there's about 20,000 contractors that work for the VA.
Right.
eventually you forget who's working for whom. But we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. And my job was to teach these designers and developers how to make things accessible, how to code things so that not just so the screen readers work, but so that people with all disabilities can use it. Because accessibility isn't all about blindness.
Right.
There's a lot of other concerns that you need to take into consideration. And as I'm working with these folks, and they had varying degrees of knowledge of accessibility from, clueless to knowing more than I do,
Right.
I realized they all want to do the right thing. They all want to make the world more accessible for people with disabilities. Oftentimes, they just don't know what the right thing is.
Right.
In fact, I've had people who were initially resistant to accessibility. Once I showed them what a screen reader is and what it does, and explained to them why it's so important to be accessible, light bulb went on. And those folks ultimately became my strongest allies.
Very good.
So that really made an impression on me, because these people aren't trying to discriminate against anybody. They just don't know what if you're never exposed to something, how are you supposed to know about it? And now the advocates will say, well, the ADA, this and this. Okay, the ADA says you need to be accessible or you might get sued.
Right.
But the ADA does absolutely nothing to tell you how to get accessible.
Right. Right.
The ADA doesn't tell you the real life benefits of accessibility. And most importantly, the ADA doesn't tell you that if your business is accessible, you will make more money. So the ADA basically just threatens you. And really, the way the ADA is,
it's like a fear.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's caused a lot of resentment between the disabled community and the business community.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, because I mean, we build website, and a lot of times we have to, bill it through the accessible, the ADA framework.
Mhm.
But you're right. It's like, our web designers, our user, the UI and the UX people, there is that battle of, this is going to hurt our SEO, or this is, and I think if more people are exposed to the why and it's like there are benefits to it if you make a very accessible user experience for all humans.
Well, and did you know that coding accessibly, coding using semantic HTML, which is, the basically the bedrock of accessible design,
right?
Using alt text that describes images, all the things that I tell you to do to make your website accessible actually improves your SEO score.
Yeah.
Because the search engine reads a website like a screen reader does. It's software.
Yeah.
That's
a different perspective right there. I mean, just saying that, like, the search engine is not just, we always hear, spiders and bots, but it's like, they're reading it like a screen reader, no different of what you need to do for people with disabilities.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if people don't know that because the advocates don't
tell you that.
Oftentimes, and I'm not saying all of them, but
right.
they're going to get in trouble eventually. But they de-emphasize that message in favor of, ADA, discrimination, this and this.
We're going to fine you if you don't do this.
I'm going to sue you. And, what does that do except just make businesses not want to deal with disabled people?
Yeah.
What does that accomplish? What the heck are we doing here?
Right.
So I want to be a productive part of the solution. I want to teach businesses, the real life benefits to real life people. Do you know 25% of people have some disability?
Yeah.
You don't know that because most disabilities are invisible and everybody tries to be normal. Nobody wants to be different.
Right.
Well, except me. I am not normal in any way, shape, matter, or form. I am a woman who likes to drink beer and watch football.
Well,
There's nothing normal about me.
I love it. So did you start then real life access coming from that experience on that team?
I did, but first I launched a business in 2022 called Pure Access, and it was a partnership. We overcomplicated things.
Hmm.
Folks, no ship sinks faster than a partnership.
We've heard that before on the show.
You could have joint ventures until the cows come home. You can
Mm.
collaborate and this and this. But when you get into when you actually share ownership of your company and the partners are pulling in different directions,
Not
it is
everybody's on the same page.
great.
Yeah. So that's what happened. You did,
Yeah.
was it just like you and was it a friend? Was it somebody? We've even had founders that have been like done a matchmaking with to find their partner, and it's interesting to watch that journey of, um, you know, trying
Yeah.
to
And it was,
get that mate. And then we've had others that are like, this person was like we thought we were on the same page until we got into business, and it became, we had very different viewpoints of how to run a business.
and I think I can tell you what happened without, you know, making it sound like, you know, the blind and the foolish. They're, days of our blind people. um, as I and our other co-founder were moving away from the traditional advocacy methods,
Hmm.
our other partner was moving deeper into them.
Okay.
And so one thing led to another, and the business broke up in December of 2022, and I spent a couple months licking my wounds and and that. And then I started to build the foundation for real life access, because I realized, I don't want partners, I want advisors.
Yeah.
You need to surround yourself with advisors who will make up for your shortcomings, tell you when you're full of it. You need people that'll tell you the honest truth about things, right?
That's right.
Even if the
That's right.
truth is annoying, you need to, people tend to go easy on blind people when it comes to things like visual presentation, but
Yeah.
it doesn't help either, because we need to make sure that we have that covered one way or the other. Oftentimes it involves outsourcing it.
Right.
If you're not good at something, outsource it.
That's right. Absolutely. So, um, do you, with the partnership of the dissolution of the part, was that like your biggest oh shit moment, or have you, now that you've been running your own company, and working that, have you hit any barriers or challenges that you weren't expecting that you've overcome, or was the uh, um, removal of partners, was that the biggest one?
It's the only thing, and I think this is normal. It's taking a while for the business to really gain traction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We need that initial point of entry into the market. I don't know from where it's going to come. I feel like once it does, it'll be sort of like opening the floodgates.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
but we've got a number of initiatives. I've got a coaching program for accessibility professionals. I've got a coaching program for small businesses. We're coming out with a course called Hiring for Champions. It's going to come out in a couple months, and it's basically diversity done the right way.
Nice. What is that perspective when you say diversity done the right way? And especially with our business environment is moving away from DEI type of initiative and diversity initiatives. How are you entering into this space?
If you combine an accessible company, top to tail accessible,
Mm-hmm.
with a merit-based hiring system, then you've got a place where people with disabilities can compete on an equal playing field. And then you recruit where people with disabilities hang out, right? I mean, there's the, career fairs that attract people with disabilities. There's job boards. There's, of course, everybody's on LinkedIn, disabled or not. DEI didn't help. In fact, DEI just made things worse. And I'll explain
Yeah. Like, I'd love to hear that perspective. Yeah.
If you hire somebody because they're blind, or if you lower the standards, then you're hiring somebody for a job that they may not be
They're
qualified.
going to fail.
You're going to set them
Absolutely.
up for failure, right?
Right.
Right. And there is nothing more soul crushing than being a DEI hire.
Yeah.
And
Or to, even if you weren't,
yeah,
if you had the feeling that other people are viewing you
exactly.
as one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The um what it does to you psychologically, you get to a point where you lose your drive, you lose your motivation.
Yeah.
Um yeah, DEI is going away, and thank God it is, because it's a lot of the DEI people have good intentions, but they're misguided.
Yeah. Or we just need to reframe it to go, the idea of it wasn't bad. It was just how it was, like I said,
Yeah, it
the
was.
quotas,
Yeah,
to have a diverse workforce and an inclusive and welcoming and accessible environment is not a bad thing.
no, it's a good thing, and
It's a good thing.
I think everybody agrees, whether you're way over there on the left, or you've been MAGA for you were MAGA when MAGA wasn't cool.
Right.
Everybody agrees that having people from different backgrounds is a good thing.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees that accessibility is a good thing. Nobody's going to say accessibility is a bad thing.
Right. Let's hope. Yeah.
There's so many misunderstandings that get between us and the actual implementation of accessibility.
Yeah. Like, what do you feel is the biggest barrier to that?
I'm going to quote my son, my
Okay.
18-year-old son. He's fully sighted. And if there's one person on the planet that'll tell me the stone cold truth, whether I want to hear it or not, it's him.
Of course.
So
That's the beauty of children.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I tell people he's my harshest critic because he's my biggest fan.
That's right.
So I asked him, why do you think people don't invest in accessibility? And he goes, because they don't have the time and they don't have the money.
Ah,
So what I like to do is I like to say, okay, if you're on a budget, if then let's go with a harm reduction approach.
hmm.
Let's fix the most egregious things first. And let's start with something concrete, like your website. I always start interviews talking about people's website, because that's where I came from. I came from the digital.
Right. But also it's a company's almost, it's their storefront. It's their digital resume.
Absolutely.
Um
Absolutely. And it's their culture.
yeah.
How do you respond when a blind person walks into your store?
Right.
And
How do you want the search engines to uh acknowledge that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I call it cultural accessibility.
Mm.
Basically, how does your company handle difference? Is difference ordinary? That's where you want to be. You want to be somewhere where difference is ordinary.
That's
So verbalizing content on your slides and meetings becomes second nature.
that is, yeah. How are people reacting when you do that? When you say those things?
It's really thought provoking for people,
It
because they
is.
never were exposed to it. They never heard it phrased this way before. People know the ADA exists,
Right.
but people don't know what people with disabilities are truly capable of, and they don't know B, the actual steps that they can take to make their business accessible.
Right.
They just don't know. It's a knowledge problem. It is not, I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. It is not a discrimination problem in the great majority of kids. And, every once in a while you're going to run into a jerk.
Right.
I'm not,
But that's not the majority.
yeah.
Yeah.
The majority of people just don't know, or they've got other priorities and they don't realize how beneficial accessibility is.
Right. They got to know the benefits. But I think you're right. It's just the lack of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
What is something, as you have kind of gone through this journey of foundership and entrepreneurship, what's been the most rewarding aspect of it?
Teaching people.
Seeing the light bulbs go off?
Yeah. I believe I'm a born teacher. I can audit your website, I can fix it, but if I teach you how to make your own website accessible, then it'll be accessible forever. Because once people see that truth, they don't unsee it. I had a coworker when I worked with the VA. She came to my office hours. We had accessibility office hours every week, and she goes, "Man, I was looking at this Disney app on my husband's phone, and I'm like, there's no way that's accessible." And she's like, "See what you did? Now I think about accessibility every time I do something."
That's right. Isn't that crazy?
Like, yeah, okay, you can.
Now, come on, Disney.
Yeah.
Step up the game.
Is there supposed to be the happiest place on earth, but if you can't access that happiness, you're going to be sad.
Yeah.
Come on, Disney. You don't want to make disabled people sad, do you?
That's right.
You're supposed to make everybody happy.
Because if you go, but you're right, you go on their site, it's a very accessible park. It's one of the most, well, except for maybe some of the rides, I guess. Safety net. What do you think is the biggest myth of running a business, starting a business, that you either thought going into it that you were like, that's a bunch of bullshit? You want to debunk it. Have you run into any of that? Did you have any of that going in?
That business is going to just start coming.
Yeah.
You have to get out in front of people. And you have to, even now, I was showing my website to a friend who has some business experience. He does business to business stuff as well. And said, take a look at my website and tell me what you think. And this is another brutally honest person in my life.
Gotta have them.
You need to surround yourself. Do not exist in an echo chamber.
No.
It might feel good in the moment, but it will bite you in the batuski. That's
right. I always tell people too, it's like, I can help others really, really well and see all the gaps and the friction and somebody else. But it's really hard to do it sometimes for yourself, especially when it's like telling your story with clarity, whether it's on your website or in your materials we are too close to it. We're too close to it.
Yeah. So this guy looks at my website. He calls me back and he goes, "Angela, I looked at your website. I looked at everything on your website and I still don't know what you do."
Yeah. And we're too close to it, Angela. We have to. That's right. And you're like, wait a minute, but I do these things.
Honestly, if you don't know, if he doesn't know what I do, how the heck do I expect anybody else to know what I do?
Right.
This guy should know what I do.
So what did you do with that? Did you challenge, like, how do I tell my story with a little bit more clarity? Did you have somebody else do that for you?
Well,
how did you handle that?
A combination of both. So I changed a lot of the text on the website to highlight exactly what I do and highlight the service offerings. And I'm also working with somebody to enhance the visual design of the website so that, when a sighted person looks at it, that information is more, well, I'm going to say it, more accessible.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have to have like the frame, the frame set?
So it's a problem that is getting fixed. It's, it's just, like, no wonder I don't have any, no wonder I'm struggling to get clients. Nobody knows what I do. It's obvious to me.
Right. What keeps you up at night?
Feeling like I'm not good enough. Feeling like I'm not, I think we all have a little bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, it happens. All of us, it is a common theme. How do you get over that? Like, what are you doing I've had to go through like a, self-reflection, so just like build my own confidence. Have you, gone through any of that? Like, self-discovery, confidence building, any kind of disciplines or routines that you've had to put in place to kind of overcome that?
A lot of it, and there's a couple things. A lot of it is you got to reflect on past successes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to reflect on past wins. But a critical part of doing this is figuring out what you're good at, figuring out what you're just okay at, and figuring out what you stink at. Because you want to spend most of your time doing the things you're good at.
Yeah.
And you want to spend some of the time doing the things you're okay at, and then we all got to do things we're not good at, but where possible, you want to outsource that stuff. I mean,
That's
I
right.
outsource visuals. Every chance I get, I thought I was so clever a few weeks ago. I had ChatGPT draw me an image, and what I wanted her to draw was a blind woman sitting at a computer looking frustrated because she couldn't access the website. And then there was like thought bubbles like, man, this would be so easy if it was accessible.
Right.
I don't know what delusions ChatGPT is operating under, but I got this blind lady that looked like Gollum. And
did you send that? Was it like, did you give it to your son to go, this is what I asked?
Well, no, not him.
Here's what came out.
I had somebody else look at it, and she's like, no, Angela, you are scaring away your customers with this image. You do not want to do that. It's really ChatGPT. I wanted, we're
yeah. ChatGPT has not advanced itself where it needs some human oversight. You've got to have
it needs
the editor. It needs an editor.
Yeah. So that little hack won't work for now, but yeah, I have somebody that if I need an image, and this person intuitively gets me. She knows what I, my personality and what I'm about. So,
gotta have that.
You have to surround yourself with a good team of people who, A, know you,
mm-hmm.
B, see your vision. That was the problem in 2022. One of the partners did not truly see our vision.
Right.
And C, aren't afraid to tell you the unvarnished truth, whether you want to hear it or not.
That's right. And that needs to be, especially if you're in a partnership, that needs to be across the board, like on all sides. They should be able to be just as coachable and
Yep.
approachable to all feedback.
Absolutely.
Can't just be one person.
Yep.
Right. So if you had to sum up your entrepreneurial journey in one word, what would that word be?
Come back.
Come back. All right. Why? Why that word?
Zach Brown song, The Comeback.
Yeah.
Anything good about getting knocked down is the comeback when it comes back around.
Nice.
That was my theme song.
That's your theme song. I love it. We ask hundreds of founders, if not like almost 1,000. We've never gotten a repeat word, even though we have the same themes of our challenges and stuff, but we all have a different word for our journey. I love it.
Diversity for you.
That's right. That's right. Okay, now next chapter. Moving forward, your future chapter. What is that word? What defines?
Ooh, that's harder.
Yeah.
Expansion.
There we go. Time to grow.
Yep. I want to get in front of more people. Let people know about my offerings, and really, start teaching accessibility.
Yeah, the benefits of accessibility. All right. So if we met a year from now, Angela, and I took you out for beers over football, what would we be celebrating?
The fact that I will have quit my day job. I have a 6-figure coaching business that supports not only itself, but me. And that if I want to go up to Lake Tahoe for a weekend, I can do that. And if I have a session or a meeting, that's fine. I can just conduct it from there.
There you go. Freedom and money.
Yep.
Success, expansion. All right. We're manifesting it. We're putting it out in the universe. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Is there a piece of advice? I know you've given some really good insights and advice. Is there another piece of advice that you were given by another founder and entrepreneur that you were like, "Ooh, I took that to heart"?
Well, actually, it was the last thing I wanted to hear at the time, but he said, "Be patient."
Yeah, I think that's good
No,
advice for all of us because we all are like, why we have such good offerings. We're solving the world's problems.
yeah.
Why aren't people just flooding my inbox?
Come on, what's the matter with these people? How come they're not lining up to buy my coaching session? Well,
Right.
insight sucks. But if anybody that knows me will tell you that patience is not my strong suit.
Yeah, it's not a lot of us, but no,
And
it is
it's got
hard.
worse because now I have delivery. I don't order something and it gets delivered to my door and it's like I want this 5 minutes ago. It's like,
Like, come on,
okay,
Amazon.
yeah, come on, Amazon. Why can't you read my mind and just give me what I want?
Hey, it's gonna come.
We are
It's
so
that
spoiled in the
we're
West.
almost there. We have that with I'm laughing. I get hit all the time with I know my phone and my devices are listening to me
Yeah.
because then they serve me up content and ads and also where it got to the point where an entire business and its website was designed and then I was getting ads to it and it was a completely AI designed. The company doesn't exist.
Oh no.
Like, I was like, oh my God, I found this like operations solution that is like, it eliminates all of these 8 tools that we use and because it listened to me complaining. And we started I'm looking at my producer Chandler, but we were like, we went invested. I'm like, I can't find this company doesn't exist. The website was built 2 days prior of like me bitching
Somebody
about
making a
like
joke.
this is what I want. Why can't this company exist? And I'm going, oh my God, this is so scary. Of
Well, remember,
can't find any employees on
yeah.
LinkedIn. They don't exist in corporate wiki. I mean, it.
Yeah, watch out for AI. It makes stuff up.
Yes, clearly. And it was like, sign on today, put your credit card in. I mean, it was like, all right, let's go. If this can do it. And then I started like, let me look. Surely, like, why haven't anybody else talking about this? Because I hear too many agencies and content creator companies, we all have this issue. Why is nobody talking about this like revolutionary
Yeah.
new tool? Well, it's because it's fake.
Yep.
It doesn't exist.
Yep.
Scary, very scary. All right, Angela, we're out of time. I cannot believe how fast these things go. I've enjoyed the conversation, but before we go, tell us, how do you want people to connect with you, learn more about what you do, or hire you for helping them develop a more accessible user experience?
Absolutely. And for all the things, go to my much improved and continuing to improve website. By the time this comes out, it'll be
It'll
the
be
vision.
iteration 3.0.
Yep. Yep. www.reallifeaccess.com. And it's got
Simple as that.
on my socials, it's got a contact form, it's got you can sign up for my newsletter, and if you do that, you get the top 10 things you can start doing right now to make your business more accessible.
Nice.
And they run the gamut. Some of them are going to, if you're just an online business, some of them might not apply to you. They run the gamut. Some of them are physical, some of them are digital, some of them are cultural.
But you need it.
But
You
yep,
need that info. It'll help your business.
it will. It will. And hopefully it'll make people want more.
That's right.
Lead
Absolutely.
magnet.
The lead magnet. That's right. Oh, well, thank you, Angela. This was a fantastic conversation. I enjoyed hanging out with you today. And for everyone listening or watching, thank you for joining us. Again, our podcast is available on all podcast platforms. So subscribe to Hello Chaos, give us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, or share this great content and help us build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That is Orange Whip WIP for work in progress, because that's what we all are as founders and entrepreneurs. We are all about learning, unlearning, and relearning. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We've designed hyper-local media platforms to inform, inspire, and be the independent connective tissue between founders and the local entrepreneurial ecosystem. We have fresh and engaging stories. We have curated content calendars, local dynamic roadmaps to help founders navigate those ecosystems with ease. We've really done all the hard work for them. You only need to go to one trusted source in that market. And we're in 3 South Carolina cities today, looking to expand to other cities because every market needs an Orange Whip. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, just send us an email, hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It is where aha meets oh shit, and we will see you again next week.